Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Leejay Dumo Show. My name is Leejay Dumo, your host, and on this podcast, I usually talk about different things, hopefully relevant things. But I just wanted to create this podcast because I wanted to have a place where I can share my thoughts. And in today's episode, there's a question that I asked myself last night, and I asked, why do we want things we don't need? And lately, I've been playing Microsoft Flight Simulator on PS5, the 2024 version. And it's interesting because I've been a avid Microsoft Flight Simulator player or fan for the last, I don't know, ever since in junior high, right? And for the last 4 years, maybe 5 years, I actually didn't play anything, right? I was just focused on raising a family and doing other things, right? Camping, traveling with the kids and whatnot. And recently, I said to myself, you know what? This Father's Day, I'm going to have a treat, which is in this case buying this new game called Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. And I've been playing it for 2 nights, and I haven't been sleeping well. I get so excited playing simulator games like that, especially for flights. I'm really good on landing planes on a windy day, or it feels good actually when you land a plane and you have a scoring system, you get a good, nice, high score. And so it was actually my first time playing it on I usually have a joystick, but this time I was playing it on the controller. And this is my first time playing it in the controller. And I said to myself, I could probably make or have a high score if I have a joystick, right? And now I immediately thought that or caught that moment where I needed to have more, right? Even though I've just purchased the game and it's not cheap, right? And now I needed more. I needed to have a controller with it, or the actual joystick that's rated for PS5. So you can see the process now of now because of this, I needed to have a new headphones, and I don't actually need it. In fact, I needed sleep. I needed rest. But then I have something like this that's wanting me to need things, right? And it's similar. It's probably the same feeling as when you were walking into a grocery store at Costco. I love this. Sometimes we walk into Costco. I just wanted to get grapes, for example, and then I ended up somehow leaving with a cart full of groceries. And why do humans do this, right? Why do we actually do this? And it turns out there's really four things that allows us to do these things, right? The first thing is right desiring something, and out of that desire allows us to act a certain way so that we acquire more, right? I'm just curious about how people develop the desire, right? Desire of having something comes from a state of not having it, right? And humans, once ourselves actually fulfill that desire, we become happy, right? And so the second criteria there is happiness, right? We wanted to do more things. Alfie just woke up, so he's gonna be part of my podcast now. We wanted more things and happiness, right? And this little boy right here, I am very happy that he is with us, right? But the happiness I'm talking about comes from fulfilling a particular desire, right? So, yes, of course, when we desire something, we want something, and it gets fulfilled, right? There's this happiness, there's a reward system associated to it. And the other thing that the other component is consumerism, right? And I think this is something that's more of a social sickness, I think, right? It's just my observation. I'm not a social scientist, right? Disclaimer. I didn't study any of these things, right? But it's just my observation, right? Lots of people are hooked into consumerism. Lots of people are looking for the shiny new object, right? iPhone, for example, there's a new model coming out every year, right? or cars. I can remember there was a philosopher that's once said, or I think it came from Dave Ramsey when he said, "Your car was perfectly normal and have no problems until you went to the dealership and tried some of the new ones, and all of a sudden your car is not driving properly, or it needed an upgrade, or you deserve an upgrade." And that's just a very simple explanation of it. But the consumerism that comes in after that, right, is even worse, right? With some people having to have spend their life savings into buying new bags, right, or shoes, or any of these things that doesn't really serve them well. And that's what I was thinking, because lots of people would buy things that they're not probably going to use in the next few years, but they hesitate to invest on something, invest on an asset, invest on a business. And I can't really judge anyone around it, because I've done it also in the past. But I think consumerism really is a sickness, right? And that's just, we are just wired into it, right? Especially with how good the marketing is, right? For the companies that actually promotes this consumerism. And lastly, contentment, right? I think more people would want less if they are content, right, of what they have. And like this little kid right here. Amelia, can you pass me a tissue, please? Right? If you wanted to get this particular toy, I give him the toy, and then that's it, right? He's happy. I wish that most people have that mentality like a child, right? But we're not, right? We're not like that. We are habits humans looking for something better. And I think that happens recently where we fall short on counting the blessings that we already have. By the way, I wrote a book. It's called Built Between Responsibilities. And I did spoke in my book, or wrote in my book, that the things that we're building for, right, is most likely is already here, right? Or the things that we are wishing, the things that we are working towards to, most likely is already there. We just fall short on giving thanks, right? And that we have achieved those. We fall short on appreciating the work that we have done so far. And I think a lot of those things happen because of lack of contentment, right? And again, I'm not an expert of any of these topics, right? I'm just plainly observing this, right? But if you are listening to this podcast, or you're watching this on YouTube, and you think that you fall into those categories, right? Maybe this is just a right reminder to fix ourselves, and to not fix ourselves, but it's a reminder check with where our heart is, in terms of our desire, in terms of where we get our happiness, and what does consumerism actually do to us, right? As well as how do we become more content. It's a check, right? If nobody is friendly checking you, right? This could be it. This video is probably for you, right? That's out there, curious also why we need things, why we want things that we actually need. Those are probably some of the reasons, right? And why am I saying this, anyways? Why am I saying this episode? Amelia, I'm just recording an episode, Amelia. Just a sec. Probably because there's a reason why a lot of us wired this way. You can call me there could be a conspiracy around this, right? And the reason why I recorded this episode is probably because I just wanted my thoughts to be out there, right? Of why do we want things we actually don't need. And recently also for some reason I wanted to buy things that I it's not on my budget, right? And I had to discipline myself so much that I had to remind myself, but is it really worth it? Because there are times in our lives where a purchase could be, what is this purchase all about, right? And what are the pros and cons? Not pros and cons, right? Who talks about pros and cons? Really big, and sometimes you get into this cycle of thinking, is it the right decision to do that? Or are we ever going to use those things? And in the end, my realization is that no matter how much we need or we want something, we got to remember and place our hearts in a position where we know that the Lord is already giving us what we need, right? And that what we want is in addition to those desires that we have. And there's also reason why those desires are planted in our hearts, right? If you desire to become rich, maybe that is an indication where the Lord is calling you to fund His kingdom, right? If you have the desire to be rich also and to be generous, maybe the Lord is calling you to help to create a charity or a charitable organization or to do more for His people. If you are desiring for you too, just go like that. I think that's mommy. Anyways, I'd love to expand more on this thought, but that's pretty much it for this episode. I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Take care. God bless. Bye.